Hey everyone, welcome to this episode of Ruff Talk VR. Today we're joined with TamTu from Vertigo Games, and I got to
Super
say,
excited.
yeah, I am stoked for this game. Vertigo Games are the makers of After the Fall, Arizona Sunshine, Skyworld, Traffic Jams.
Nah, man, there's a reason I say they have the Midas touch of games.
Yeah, and
Everything they touch is just it turns to gold.
they also they published Unplugged, which we reviewed.
Yeah.
We interviewed Ricardo Acosta from there. We big fans of Vertigo Games. So, Tom, too, for our listeners, do you mind to introduce yourself a little bit?
Yeah, sure, of course. Hi, I'm TamTu. I'm very happy to be here. I'm the community manager at Vertigo Games, and my role at Vertigo Games is to coordinate the marketing stuff that we do with the dev team, but also, just make sure that the community is heard, that they get to talk to someone when they have something to share about the games that we do, complaints, praise, anything, and yeah, just make sure that that we can acknowledge them and know that they exist, and also let them know that hey, there are people working at this company as well.
Oh yeah, community managers are very important and often underrated roles in the.
Oh, super underrated. And I think as far as like the comment of people actually working there, the human factor always seems to add a nice touch too. That people forget sometimes that there's actually human beings on the other side of things.
Yeah, absolutely. So, we're big fans of After the Fall, so I'll get right into it.
All right.
We've seen some recent updates from After the Fall come out, including the new Horde mode. So it's very clear there's a lot of work, a lot of effort being put into After the Fall, and instantly when you fire it up, you can tell it's a very polished game. There's a lot going on, tight visuals,
Mhm.
tight gameplay. So I always love to ask, how many people worked on After the Fall?
Since its conception, I think it's roughly about 60 to 80 people that worked on Afterfall, just to get it all together. Now, keep in mind that Vertigo Games as a studio, we work on multiple projects as well. So, everything that we do for any project, we make sure that any learnings we take from one project, we make sure we can take over to the next, and that's what happened with Afterfall as well. Like a lot of the things that we learned from Arizona Sunshine was applied to Afterfall. Um, but I've mentioned it a few times before that Arizona Sunshine was it was very popular, and we really appreciate that, the fan base and the players that still play it to this day. And the with Afterfall, we just wanted to try out a lot of things that we couldn't quite put in Arizona Sunshine yet. So we took Afterfall as like a blank slate to try out new, crazier, bigger things that we just couldn't put in Arizona Sunshine. And yeah, so the crew has been working on Arizona Sunshine and Afterfall on and off, and it's been a blast.
Oh, that's awesome. And again, you can tell it's polished. You can tell this wasn't one that was pumped out in 6 months or anything. I actually think we saw some hype and footage for it for a couple of years leading out to the release. So, how long exactly did After the Fall take to develop?
So when we announced Afterfall and first showed it, I think it was E3 2019, 2018 even, I think. One of those 2 years. When we first showed it, there was a playable demo, and that was mainly a concept of what we wanted to do with Afterfall. We noticed that the co-op aspect of Arizona Sunshine was so popular with the players, that we really want to expand on that. And like I just mentioned, use a new setting as a blank slate to try out new things. So that was a very much a prototype of our vision of Afterfall. And over the years, we uh, after that initial announcement, things were quiet a little bit, and that's mainly because the team was just taking all the feedback and the comments from anyone that played the demo at E3 and Gamescom, and taking all that into account to craft Afterfall to what it is now. And during that time, the Oculus Quest came out too. I think earlier this week was actually the third anniversary of the Oculus Quest of its release as well. So a lot of time, development time, also went to Arizona Sunshine for the Quest version. So um, large chunk of the team went to create the after Arizona Sunshine version for Quest, while a smaller team kept on iterating, prototyping, designing systems for Afterfall, and really getting to know the Quest as a hardware system, because we already had made Arizona Sunshine for PC and PlayStation, but then came the consideration: are we also going to put it on Quest? And the rest is history.
Well, I'm definitely, stoked you did. This has been, me and Stratus were always suckers for co-op experiences. It's our favorite
You're
thing to
not
do in
kidding.
VR. So yeah, after the fall came out and this was like a must grab, got to get it ASAP. And yeah, we were thrilled. We were pretty impressed that it was up and running on the Quest though, with that many enemies coming at you, without the frame rate drops. It's again good graphics too.
Hmm.
For anybody who's
Mhm.
never played After the Fall, especially in the higher difficulties,
Oh, the higher difficulties, that's a different world.
it's not 5 enemies coming at you. It's like again, you're like, I don't understand how they have this many NPCs and enemies coming at me without the game crashing. So what were some of the, like, were there a lot of hurdles to get the game up and running versus like, on the PlayStation VR, where I do know it's popular as well, but no doubt the Quest probably takes a little bit more work to get up and running than that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so that was probably the biggest struggle or biggest hurdle for the team to overcome. How to make sure that our most important pillar for this project was crossplay, right? So there were a lot of players for Arizona Sunshine who wanted to play with PC players who wanted to play with their PlayStation friends and vice versa, and we saw that it was going to be a thing for Afterfall as well. So the most important thing for us was to get that framework, that base gameplay framework right, to make sure that it ran in parity across all versions. So, sure, if you have a beefy PC, then you can have even more zombies than we have, or have more enemies than we have now, right? But the Quest wouldn't be able to make it. So there was a lot of testing that we did, a lot of balancing and optimization that we did. So um, that was probably the biggest challenge for us, to really find that balance where we can still have uh, a challenging amount of enemies, make it feel as impactful across all platforms that we really are going to release it on.
No,
Well, again, I'll use the Midas touch.
yeah.
It's like it was really no surprise that it was so successful and came out so polished right out of the gate. I mean, and it still continues to grow. So I mean,
Yeah, I mean, speaking of what's continuing to grow, like I said, we saw Horde mode come out,
mhm.
not too long ago.
Mm.
Is there any other updates that we can expect to see soon? I'm sure Vertigo is right back at work.
Hmm. Yeah, so recently we released the Shock and Awe update, which is the last update for the current Frontrunner season that we've had since February. This was our season of content where we did various content drops. So starting off with the Horde mode, and then later we added a new harvest map, and recently we added new items, and that was to explore the idea of how do we do a season for After Fall, and how do we do our content drops. And it's been a big learning lesson for us. It's right now we are mainly focused on polishing the game further, doing a lot of bug fixing, quality of life updates. So that's our main priority right now. But we do have a part of the team is also working on the next content for After the Fall, and I'm not allowed to say anything about that just yet. But we do have something big coming up in the next few months for sure.
No, completely understandable.
No, and that's exciting even to hear. So
Yeah,
I can live with
Mhm.
that.
yep, just knowing that there's even more coming is huge. And I love the idea of season content. One of our favorite games is Population 1. And one of the
Mhm.
things that always brings you back to Population 1 is that they're so heavy with updates. There's always a new season, always some sort of game change. So I think that that's a really good, way to get returning players. Somebody might not have played the game in 2 or 3 months, but then they hear, oh, it's a whole new season with a whole new game mode or a whole new map, whatever. All right, I got to go check it out. That's exactly what we did too. So that I love that idea. It kind of, it's exciting to know that there's more coming. Um,
Yeah, it's really exciting for us too, because the designers, they have so many ideas that uh, there were so many ideas that we just couldn't get into the main game at launch, right? So having being allowed to have the time and space to really um, craft more things like more items, more weapons, how to work with the current sandbox that we have for After Fall, how to make things even crazier than before. It's like when the game launched, we had like 6 weapons, all of their own archetypes, and and it allowed people to have their own play style. And the players, they just ended up discovering what the meta was going to be, and then there was a lot of balancing because some people were just complaining about, hey, the submachine guns are not as powerful because they just chew through ammo. Even I have the red attachment for a larger mag and things like that. Or some people who just want to dual wield pistols, but with the shared ammo pool, all things like that. So there was a lot of balancing done um, over time as well. But it's just so important for us to get that feedback from the players too, so we can make sure that the game feels right for them, but also matches with what we've have planned for the game coming up, like with newer weapons and newer devices and newer items that we want to throw in there in the future.
Yep, never-ending battle. You can never make everybody happy. I think
Mm-hmm.
I even saw somebody complaining on it on the subreddit one time. They're like, "Why isn't the glitch addressed that you could go out with guns in every loadout position, but then also guns in your hands as well,
Mm-hmm.
so you're kind of carrying out an extra gun." You're like, "That's a ridiculous glitch." It's like, man, if you ask me, I like that feat. I like that. I don't want that gun. So
Mm-hmm.
it's like you
It,
can
it
never.
wasn't a glitch. It's
Yeah,
something that
that's
would
how
get
it's
carried.
supposed to
Yeah,
be. That's
it
how
carried
I
over
took
from
it.
Arizona Sunshine. Yeah.
Yeah, so this guy's complaining like, "Oh my god, it's a glitch. It needs to get." It's like you can never make everybody happy either. So it's
Yeah.
a very it's a tough thing to balance in a game that's co-op based, cross-platform. For people who don't know that, you don't only have to play with people on the same headset. So I gotta
I
ask.
feel it. I feel it might also be like an immersion slash VR thing. With Afterfall, we set out to make a compelling game in VR, a compelling co-op shooter in VR, and there are a lot of great, realistic shooters out there in VR, and they do their thing well. And we just wanted to have like a fast-paced experience. So Afterfall was more arcadey compared to an Onward or a Pavlov or things like that, and and that's fine too. The variety is something we believe in a lot, and we make what works for us. And having two guns in your hands at all times might feel a bit awkward, but if you want to use your shotgun or your rifle, we have that system where it hides the gun in your other hand, where you can just dual wield the other gun without storing it away. So it was for us, it was very important to keep the gameplay flow going and not have people fumble with immersion features too much.
Well, if you ask me, okay, I know people love manual reloading and super realism and
Mm-hmm.
everything. For me, it depends on the style of game. I'm not overly obsessed with it, but
Mm-hmm.
when I'm in the game and I have 100 zombies coming at me, I'm doing automatic reload and I'm
Mm-hmm.
doing the most OP guns in both hands that I can, max loadout, because I just want to have a good time. It's a zombie game.
Yeah.
Why am I going to be obsessed with realism in a zombie game? I don't know. It's just
Well, especially in good luck reloading by
yeah,
doing
no.
manual in like the hardest mode.
You
It's
sign me up for automatic right away.
Yep.
I would
Anything.
say that yeah, realistically, zombies aren't as fast as they are in After the Fall, and then normally, yeah, then you might have the time to store your guns away and put them away or reload manually, and that's fine too. Like I love playing Walking Dead. I love playing um, Boneworks at times as well. But like in Afterfall, you just get so overwhelmed with the amount of enemies that we throw at you, and that's what we're going for. So finding a balance to let you feel like the action hero, right? We want to give you the power fantasy of an 80s action hero. You're the one with the gun. They should be afraid of you, not the other way around. Overcome all the odds.
I feel like when I'm playing After the Fall, I'm there to kick ass, and I'm all out of bubblegum. It's like it's time to.
Oh,
I feel super 80s style with it. It's awesome, but exactly what you said. There's some games that have, slow walking zombies. Cool. Not every game needs to be like that. I like the fast paced hecticness. It, in my opinion, it increases the requirement for co-op. On the easy levels, you can go off and do whatever, but you play on the higher difficulties,
communication's key. Yeah.
and you need to be.
Mhm.
And like that fast paced hecticness, like because of that, you can leave around with that feeling of adrenaline. Like,
Dude,
when
shit,
we did
hold on. When we did that final level, like just vocally animated, I'd love to have the recording of what went on in that headset that night.
yeah,
It's absolutely ridiculous.
And I don't
It
think
was a whole new level of gaming.
Yeah, and I don't think you'd have that same experience with, super realistic reloading and slow moving zombies. It's that fast paced, crazy amount of
it
enemies. That's what
creates
makes the
the
experience.
adrenaline and the anxiety
Yep,
and
the requirement for cooperation.
stress.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe in the
Fun
future,
stress.
5 years from now, 10 years from now, when the Quest, I don't know, Quest 6 can handle like super amazing graphics as well, and everyone has like a whole room dedicated to VR where they can actually do some like room scale running around and taking cover and stuff, then then full immersion, then I can understand that you want be able to feel like, oh, I'm going to hide in a corner somewhere real quick to reload and then go back into it. Yeah, sure. But we're not there yet, unfortunately. Nothing but respect to all the other developers putting in the work to make VR as immersive as possible, of course, because, if anyone has a successful VR title, that's a win for everyone in developing in VR, I feel.
Oh, definitely, because it'll instantly show up under the same category. So it's to me it's an open market. But for some reason, everything Vertigo Games just decides they're going to work on seems to have some proven method to it. That
even
going back to other games, it's like they're all good.
Yeah, look at Unplugged. That's one of my favorite
Dude,
experiences
Unplugged
in VR.
is next level.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So, Unplugged recently had a music pack drop as well.
Yeah.
For anybody who's hasn't really played it since launch or anything like that, some more songs are coming or just came out. Besides that update, is there more updates still coming for Unplugged as well?
Oh yeah, for sure. The response to Unplugged has also been really amazing, and the team from Another Way, they're so talented and they're so passionate about the project as well, and they just want to keep working on it and keep improving on it. Um, I'm not as involved with the project as much anymore since launch. I've mostly helped them coordinate the community. Like they had their own community manager as well, and he's doing an amazing job too, just talking with the community there. And I'm mostly just monitoring to see how the response is to everything, and everyone's just so positive about the game, especially with the recent Hands 2.0 update on the Quest. We were very thrilled and honored to see that it jumped from great to a must-have on the Upload VR review, and it's just that when we saw it, it's like it has such great potential, and we really wanted to do it right. And I think the team well deserves the credit for like being one of the best hand tracking games out there.
Oh.
I'm biased, of course, but having played myself as
No, you're
as
speaking
well,
the
and
truth.
yeah.
We were both skeptical when it first came out. We loved the idea, but we had
Conceptually, it was cool.
but we had some bad prior hand tracking experiences, and this is back when the game first came out on hand, what would be now hand tracking 1.0.
Sure.
So we fired it up a little skeptical, and we were just blown away how smooth it worked.
Oh, I know the leaderboard on one side.
Yeah. In my opinion, it is the best example of hand tracking in VR,
and continues to get better.
So we had a blast reviewing that one on the podcast. Like I mentioned, we interviewed Ricardo Acosta, one of the developers for that game. So great team over there. If you check out their Discord, it's popping every day. It's blowing up. There's always people asking feedback. Great community over there. So great job with that game. I know that's
what do you think of our April Fool's joke?
With the triangle?
Triangle.
Yeah.
I love that stuff. I always get sad.
I remember I sent you a message.
Yeah, you're like the first thing you said. Is this real? I was like,
real, dude?
It's an April Fool's thing, but
They
it's
got a
going
triangle?
in. Yeah, I always get sad when events go away. They're so cool. Is
Yeah,
that still in
it's
there
a
as a bonus hidden feature
no.
somewhere, or no? It's gone,
Unfortunately,
right? That's what I
unfortunately, no.
thought.
We might bring it back next year, just to celebrate April Fools.
Yeah, I
But
love that stuff.
it's just a testament to how dedicated Another Way is to the product as well. Because we were at the marketing team, we were just trying to think of like, hey, let some fun April Fools ideas. Nothing too high, too much effort. And at first we came up, let's just make a screenshot of the in-game screenshot of the game, and have the hand hold a triangle. We showed that to Another Way, and they were like, give us like 1 hour. And then they came back with a video of them having actually prototyped it in Unity, the engine we make it in, and it was there. And then we went all in on the idea. It's like, this is it. This is the Vertigo April Fool's joke this year for sure.
No, I love that stuff.
I thought it was genius.
I've referenced this before. I was a big fan of back in the Sega Dreamcast days of Ready to Rumble, that boxing game. Great game. And on that game, on holidays, example, on
Special
Christmas.
occasions.
Yep. If you played the game on Christmas, or you could change your in-game console date to Christmas, and that was what everybody did. That's
Or
what
Easter,
I did.
whatever.
Yep. You go to a holiday and you're gonna fight the snowman. You're gonna fight the
Cool.
Easter bunny. So I've always been a sucker for those holiday event things. So when I saw that and I found out it was a real inclusion, I was pumped. So great stuff over there from the team over at Another Way. I know that that's one that you guys published versus developed, whereas After the Fall is one that you guys developed and published. But no, great work over there as well. So I know I kind of jumped ship a little bit. We can hop back to After the Fall. Something I gotta ask is what headset do you play on? Do you play on the Quest? Do you play on PC VR, PlayStation VR? What's your go-to?
So my go-to is the Quest through Virtual Desktop on Steam.
Okay.
Because
it's been interesting to see the numbers dominate on Steam slowly over time. Now it's like pretty much everybody's using the Quest 2 for PC VR.
Yeah. So one thing I'm personally kind of disappointed about, as well as a lot of other players, is that there's no cross progression between store platforms. So I can't take my Steam progress over to the Quest. So I should have played it on Rift, I guess, the Oculus version, to keep my progression. But I've just progressed so far on Steam. I don't want to go back to Quest 2. But like, I enjoy playing Afterfall on the Quest 2 as well. Like I said before, it's essentially the same game with toned down graphics to match the hardware, but the experience, like the first time I actually got the Quest build, I got to try the Quest build internally, I was pretty blown away because I had played Skid Row like a billion times on PC to help when I helped the team test and everything, just to see where it's at. And then at some point playing on Quest, I didn't feel like I was playing a different game at all. It's like, yeah, the gunplay feels the same, sound is the same. Sure, it looks a bit jankier, I guess, but it's still the same game, and I'm having the same progression. I go through the same level. It's that was pretty mind blowing to me, and it was at that point where I was like, yes, I'm a firm believer of the game. This is gonna work, and that's where my enthusiasm comes from. It's like having the firsthand experience. When we did the playtest with the Quest version as well, then when we had to select a group of people play it, and they none of them mentioned the graphics. They were just having a great time, having fun playing a great game, and that gave us a lot of confidence about the whole cross-platform thing as well.
Well, in a game that fast-paced, it's like, it's one thing if it's an adventure game where you can take your time and
look at the scenery.
Then you really might notice the differences. But when there's 100 zombies coming at you, you're not going to
face off.
Yeah, you're not going to be like, well, the wall doesn't look. No, there's no time. So
I think the graphics they fit perfect for the overall experience you're getting.
I mean, I'd argue they were some of the best on the Quest. I don't think that the graphics were bad at all.
No.
I also don't have the same experience playing it on the PC VR, so I guess I'm not spoiled in that regard. But I mean, geez, for Quest graphics, it's damn good. So since that's a little issue that's hit you as the community manager as well, not having the cross-platform progression, is that something you guys are looking to implement, or is it a little bit more complicated than that, development wise.
It's pretty complicated, because then you start thinking about having to create a unified account where you can sync all the data to, and we don't have the resources for that right now on the short term. Ultimately, that would be like the best way to have like crossover events with other titles that we do, right? I'm just like, I'm not saying that we're going to do it. I'm just like spitballing here as well, because I play a lot of other live service games as well, and games from other publishers, big publishers, and see how they do crossover events between their games. And then I start daydreaming. It's like, oh man, how cool would it be to do that for After Fall as well, and have like little things in our game. And then because I do have a little bit of a interest in game design and game development as well as a hobby. So I look at a lot of at what the other companies do as well. And I feel like that's VR is such a niche in the game industry, right? It's doing a lot of things that already exist, but it's important that when you do something in VR, that you need to do it right, because VR still needs to prove itself so much. But I feel like we're on the cusp of it, right? The last holiday season, the Quest 2 was already like a fantastic gateway for a lot of players, a lot of people to jump into VR. Before that, PSVR did an excellent job as well. And it's taking time, but I think we're slowly getting there to really get people more easier access to VR. And when the developers, like the other teams like End Dreams, Fast Travel Games, all the other studios, when they also publish and create solid titles and give small development teams a chance by publishing them, that's a win for VR. And prove to the world, that there are some really good games and experiences in VR that is just waiting for you to jump into.
No, what's awesome is it is at that ground level, and it's starting stages of infancy here. But right now, if someone were to buy a headset, I mean, you can come out of the gate with a Quest 2 and have a ton of different experiences to
for
choose from.
$299.
Yeah, dude, it's like
Mm-hmm.
you go back a couple of years ago. I mean, there was some good stuff out there, but as an overall, looking from a consumer standpoint, it was a little limited. Then
Well,
throw App Lab into the mix, and then it's a whole new ball game of options for you. So
yeah,
this is a consumer. It's a hot time to be on.
yeah. I
It's
remember
the
when we,
Wild West right now, pretty
Yeah.
much, for VR. I feel a lot of developers, they have to self-publish in a way, or self-release, and they don't have the advantage of joining with a publisher. Like we at Vertigo, as a publisher, we do get a lot of pitches, and our biz dev team is busy with going through so many of them, and trying to point them in the right direction and what works and what not. And it's a real collaborative effort, and we're honored to be able to guide developers like that as well. And we're really stoked to see other publishers start popping up specifically for VR as well. And competition is good, and I keep saying it, but like if one team in VR wins, has a good win, that's a win for all of VR.
No, most definitely, and I think, and you see it in the community a lot, but even in the developer world, I mean, the community's small in that aspect. So
Mhm.
it's like there's no, I see no value in
competition.
developers, competitively like trying to down another
Mhm.
when there's things to learn. I mean,
No, it's too the industry's too small right now. Like you said, if one wins, everybody wins.
but what blows me away is, I mean, and you got to feel good about this, is like everyone doing this right now and doing it really well. It's like you're laying that foundation. You're
Mhm.
Mhm.
you'll be the grandfathers of the godfathers of VR at the end of the day.
Yeah, I kind of consider Vertigo, Resolution Games. You mentioned End Dreams, Fast Travel. Those are kind of like the big boys for the VR world. In my opinion, you guys consistently put out solid titles, so that's awesome. Something I got to ask from a player standpoint, just so I can up my game a little bit, and after the fall.
Sure.
Education time.
Yeah, just some personal education. what loadout do you, as the community manager, use?
I make sure I always have a shotgun with me for short range crowd control. The SMG does that too as well. We recently did a pretty good rebalance on the blue ammo type and buffed this SMGs a little bit so they're a bit more powerful. And SMGs are just fun to one hand, right? The Tommy gun is a great two hander, but the SMGs are fun for me to use. Look, overall, I make sure I always have like one of each ammo type: the green, yellow, red, and blue. So I always have ammo. Sometimes when you just at the higher levels, you got to start making your shots count, and the ammo boxes, they won't respawn as fast as on the easier levels. So it's really crazy. Our Discord channel is full of like nightmare runners who just have such a level of mastery of Afterfall. It's mind blowing. Um, they solo a nightmare map with just the base weapons, just because they have such a mastery of the game, and not
yeah, I don't even.
How?
understanding the maps, the game, things like that. It's crazy. There are videos on YouTube of them doing it. It's crazy. We actually named one achievement or one challenge in the game, the Savage Challenge, after a player who of which we first learned that he was soloing a relay tower all nightmare with just base weapons.
Yeah.
We call it the
Unfathomable.
Savage Challenge. Yeah.
Yeah, I even said it on the podcast. I'm like, if
Yeah, good luck doing
there's
that.
no way anyone's finishing this game
Oh
on the
my
hardest mode.
goodness.
It's a different level.
Well, at least if he's just using the base weapons, if he dies, he's not losing all that.
good
Not
stuff.
anymore,
Yeah.
no.
Yeah.
No, we removed that completely because it was too punishing.
You
I guess.
kept
Yeah,
people-
that used to hurt my feelings.
Yeah,
man.
kept people kind of away from nightmare mode versus taking the
Yeah.
chance. I could see that, definitely.
Mhm.
Definitely. That's why we stayed away from it. We were
Well,
like,
no, remember when we had first started doing it like that, and then I didn't recognize that anything bad was going down when I died. So then
Yeah.
I made you play it, and then
Yeah.
you're like, dude, you lose your stuff. I'm like, no, you don't.
don't.
And I went to go look at my stuff, and I'm like,
I have
oh,
nothing on the wall.
in fact, you do
Dude.
lose your stuff. Let's
So-
not do that again.
Well, props to you guys for listening to the community feedback and adjusting accordingly. That goes back to Vertigo always being, on point.
Well, yeah, they're super active.
And just like, your response about upcoming updates, I completely understand if this isn't something you're able to talk about, but just as myself, I gotta know.
Mhm.
Is there any upcoming titles that Vertigo is working on as well?
I mean, last year we did announce. It was during the Meta showcase where we did announce that we were working on 5 projects currently. I can't name them by name, of course, but we are the studios, the Rotterdam and Amsterdam studios, are working on new projects, and we have some published titles that are in the works as well that we'll be revealing pretty soon, I think.
Ooh,
Yeah,
I'm excited.
I think I remember when I heard 5 titles, I was like, how's that even possible?
Hard at work. It's like End Dreams too. End Dreams has like 3 games in development right now. They just pumped out Little
Well,
Dreams.
the games
They got
keep getting better
did that
and
frat
better
game.
and better. So it's like, that's pretty,
Yep.
that's nuts.
Well,
Vertigo
you also gotta take into consideration that both End Dreams and Vertigo, we both also are publishers, right? So we don't develop everything in house anymore. So we do have the capacity to announce more titles and say, hey, we've got more games coming up. But it's not all of our studio working on it. It's also, there are no third-party series that we're publishing, and yeah, on the Vertigo end, we've got some really cool things coming up.
This podcast is brought to you by Kiwi Design. Kiwi is the leader in Oculus Quest and VR accessories. And now you can deck out your device while supporting the podcast.
The Oculus Quest 2 is a great headset, but do you ever find things could be a bit more comfortable, maybe a little safer? Well, we have the solution for you. With lens protectors, controller grips, face covers, head straps, link cables, headset stands, and so much more.
And let's be real, we've all whacked our controller. You don't want to be that guy messaging Oculus support for your own mistake or waiting weeks for an out-of-stock controller. Visit the link in our show notes now to prepare yourself today.
And you don't need to sacrifice comfort for cost either. Kiwi is constantly running promotions of 20, 25, and even 30% off.
Just visit the link in our show notes and use the promo code on their website to take full advantage of your savings. And be sure to follow the link in our show notes so we get credit and you help support the podcast. And remember, Kiwi has you covered for all your VR needs.
Hey everybody, Father's Day's just around the corner and our friends at Manscaped are here to ensure that all the father figures out there are looking like daddy material this June. Manscaped's Performance Package 4.0, which includes their signature Lawnmower 4.0, is the perfect bundle to tackle any and all old man hair from head to toe. This right here is no dad joke. Treat him and yourself and join the 4 million men worldwide who trust Manscaped. With this exclusive offer, get 20% off plus free shipping with the code Ruff Talk VR at manscaped.com. Trust me, his dad bod will thank you. You know, I got a funny story for you. Not too long ago, I walked in on my dad in the bathroom and I caught a glance of his shit, and the bush was like something out of the 70s, dude. It was nuts. That man needs Manscaped products. It is designed with fathers in mind, and the Performance Package 4.0 is here just in time for your pop's special day. Inside this package, he'll find the Lawnmower 4.0 trimmer, Weed Whacker ear, hair, and nose trimmer, Crop Preserver ball deodorant, Crop Reviver toner, Performance boxer briefs, and a travel bag to hold his goodies. First off, let me start by saying the Lawnmower 4.0 will be the official MVP of Father's Day. Their 4th generation trimmer features a fucking cutting edge ceramic blade to reduce grooming accidents thanks to their advanced skin safe technology. The Lawnmower 4.0 is waterproof and also has a 400K LED spotlight he needs for more precise shave. Does your pops use the same trimmer for his body and face? We know mine doesn't. Remember my bush story? Let's throw all that out the window and give him the upgrade he deserves. So to all the pops out there, make sure you buy this for yourself. For the sons, buy this for you and your pops. Ladies, you know you want to buy this for your man. And dog daddies, you deserve this treat too. Yous can get 20% off plus free shipping with the code RuffTalkVR at manscaped.com. That's 20% off with free shipping at manscaped.com and use the code word RuffTalkVR. Shake what your mama gave you? Nah, shake what your daddy gave you.
I love to see big development companies go into the publishing wing because you guys know it for indie
Well, they know what
developers.
they're doing.
Yeah, it's hard to publish. It's hard to guarantee a spot on the official store. It's hard to, not saying you would either, but I'm just saying it helps having Vertigo attached to you. It's hard to market. It's hard to do all those things when it's your first game or whatever. So it's cool to see these big development companies give back to the smaller guys like another way. I don't know if they would have been able to get onto the official store in the way they did. Ricardo Acosta was very complimentary of the publishing of Vertigo Games. So I just love to see it because it gives these great games attention that maybe wouldn't get attention. There's so many games on App Lab that
and not to mention that as a publisher, you're really gonna cherry pick what you believe is gonna work and what you have, what the consumer is gonna enjoy. So it's a very unique situation because I'm sure anybody could technically publish something, but
to
what
do it
knowledge
good.
are you bringing to the table on that end? That's where the two parties meet, and I think the end product will always show for that.
It's
awesome.
as a publisher, we do offer like these different levels of service, right? It's like, do they need investment? Do they need marketing support? Do they need us to really dive into the all the social media management for them so they can fully focus on just developing the title? Or that's something that we always discuss with them as well. Is like, hey, what do you need from us? Help us help you. Tell us what you need. And if we come to an agreement, then then we sign the contracts, and then it's we wait for the right moment to announce things like that. For unfortunately, E3 isn't happening this year, but there's like still a lot of other alternatives coming up where opportunities for us to announce things as well.
Drop some big bombs on us. Yeah.
No, I love
Not
to see
upset
it.
about it.
Love to see it. I think that there's a lot of games that people wouldn't have been able to experience, so easily if not for, big studios having these publishing wings. So I love it.
Mm-hmm.
It's a win for everybody involved, including the consumer. So,
I was gonna say, it sounds like you've been involved in VR and gaming for quite a while. Something I always love to ask developers and people involved in studios was actually, what was your first VR experience?
Oh, so before working at Vertigo Games, I was actually a host and editor at Zoom and Games, and I was on the press side of the game industry, and now I'm on the other side of the fence where I'm the one getting interviewed instead of doing the interviews. But part of that was also doing the occasional VR stream, and we had the the Oculus DK2 at the office, and sometimes we would do these VR streams. And one of the first things I did was Dread Halls. Do you remember Dread Halls?
Yeah, that's not a game that I'm gonna go fire up and play every game because I'm a little pussy. But yes, that game scares the bejeebus out of me. It's on the Quest too, so if anybody likes to shit their pants a little bit, go fire up that.
Yeah. Halls. It's a roguelike dungeon crawler where I did it for the content during that job, and after that I got the opportunity to check out the PlayStation VR before it came out, and that was pretty cool to it. It was, I mentioned before that I do have that interest in game development as a hobby, so it's like I could tell that a lot of these were mostly just like tech demos, and look at all these quirky things you do. But back then you already had like things like the Heist, the predecessor of Blood and Truth on the PSVR, which was an excellent title. And it was those two experiences really gave me the idea of like VR is not just it's not a gimmick. But it has potential. And then all the cardboard crap came out, but pushed us like a few years back. But we're here now, and no more cardboard VR.
Yeah, at least this iteration of standalone.
Still fighting the cardboard reputation.
Yeah, unfortunately, there's people I talk to that I'm like, yo, the Quest is the best. And they're like, oh, I tried it on my phone. And it's like, no, you didn't. No, you didn't.
All you have to do is put a Quest on someone's head, and
they'll be like,
I'd say like 90% of the time, because you have that percentage of people who have like, Alienware PCs and shit. They'll be like, no, I'm not impressed with that. But aside from that, I haven't seen anybody ever put on a headset and be like, oh my God.
Yeah, most times that's way better than I imagined. That's way better than the last version.
And it only gets better.
So it's sad that the last iteration of standalone VR kind of set things back, whereas this one's,
propelling it forward.
We're good these days. So
yeah, I initially struggled as well to really like anyone who hadn't done VR before, what can I show them that won't like make them puke all over the place as well, right? And ironically and ultimately, this is a very, very this is very well done user experience wise on Meta's end. With the first steps experience is more than enough to really ease someone into VR. I feel it's like it has the grandeur of that huge whale flying over you, but it also lets you do ping pong for the interactivity, and that's such a great demo. It's my go-to experience too when I want to show someone VR who has never done VR. It basically just to work for me. I don't need to sell it at all.
I can usually sell people on VR with the home environments.
Mm-hmm.
Just go, you want to see something really cool?
They just look at their hands.
You're standing in a home you'll never afford to own. Check this out. This is amazing.
Because I'm a cruel human being, I usually throw people in Thrill of the Fight, and then I'll usually have them calm down with some golfing after that, either Walkabout or Golf Plus. Let them get a little sweat on just so I can see people. I can get scared, fighting somebody. But nonetheless,
so I gotta wonder. I don't want to jump question here, but because I know game development's now a hobby of yours, or is a hobby of yours, or has been. Are we going to expect a game from you in the future someday? If we're daydreaming, since
daydreaming, I would love to have something out there eventually someday. I do have I've been world building this one project since I was 15, and it's I'm just trying to find ways to like get it out there a bit. And I love gaming, so ultimately I would probably want to make a game out of it. So any game development dabbling that I do right now, I always have that in mind. It's like instead of like just doing simple, it's just like let's just make a box move. It's like I should build an arena for the character to jump around in, and it's like I could take the default character model, just the faceless model. It's like no, I have to go into Blender and make my own character so I can visualize it right away. It's like in that sense, I'm
Perfectionist.
like, yeah, it's part
it's just
perfectionist. Just visualizing is like I want to get there now, but let's take a few steps back. It's that's something I need to learn as well.
Well,
Well, it's because it's a hobby. If you were
Well,
doing it
and-
with deadlines and a publisher and
Yeah.
everything like that, you'd be like, shit, I don't got the time of that. But since you're doing it for fun, you're like, well, I might as well make
Mhm.
it as good as I can.
and everyone involved in VR really has a passion for it. So like I
Yeah.
pretty much put it in stone. It's like, okay, we'll see a game in a couple of years coming out with your name on it.
Do you have a dream genre? Like I mean, you mentioned you've been world building it since you were 15. How old are you?
Mm. I'm 38.
38. So we got, good amount of time on this. Conceptually, have you thought of a genre, everything like that? Or are you kind of, up in the air with that part?
I'm up in the area. I play a lot of games. It's like one time I'll be playing an action RPG. It's like, oh yeah, I like running around and jumping and casting magic and shooting fireballs while also doing sword fighting and stuff. And then I'll play this isometric dungeon crawler, which is like, oh, this is amazing. I should do it like that. Or then I find it to jump into a roguelike, or then I play a shooter. It's like, oh, and then I came into VR. It's like, oh, why shouldn't I do that in VR? And it's just like all these big ideas just start piling up. As like then I lose focus, and then I'm like, why am I even trying?
No, I think it's awesome. I believe it. I actually believe it's going to happen.
Yeah, no, I'd
Now
love
I'm really
I'll
curious
manifest
now.
it. Yes.
right?
Now I'm
Well,
like, oh,
I'll
I
manifest
want to
it.
play this.
Hopefully one day we're interviewing him on the other side about the game that he was
As the
releasing.
game developer. Yeah.
So it's pretty clear that you're passionate. You're not only about your work at Vertigo, but also in gaming as well. That's how you got involved in this all. So are there any VR games that you currently play, or do you spend so much time working with After the Fall and the other Vertigo titles that it's kind of hard to put on a VR headset in your free time?
It is pretty hard to jump into anything else. Like VR headsets on my head a lot of the time at work, and when I come home, it's like, do I still want to put a VR headset on my head, or do I want to spend time with my girlfriend and my cat? I also have a lot of friends who don't have a VR headset, so I play games with them like Destiny, Division, Fortnite, things like that. So it's a mix, it's but I do have I do have some acquaintances with the other publishers as well, so we exchange codes all the time. So I'm looking forward to diving into Little Cities as a chill VR experience, because like After Fall is just so hectic. I want to do something chill. I'll probably jump into that when I have some time off.
Yeah, we had a great time reviewing that one. We loved it.
Definitely recommend it.
We reviewed Cities VR, and then the following week Little Cities, and both were great. We love city builders, and Little Cities is very, very soothing. You'll spend an hour in there and just be like, I'm just relaxed. I'm having a good time. I'm having fun. It's not too stressful, not too complicated. So I think you'll like that. It's a nice chill game.
Yeah, it's I've gotten a start on Until You Fall. I really enjoyed that as well. Just the more arcadey sword fighting. That's it just made me feel badass without really fumbling around as much as I ultimately I think I'm more I lean more towards arcade and having a fun game experience rather than full immersion. The full immersion is great for more passive experiences for me personally, but when I want to be more active, I just want to play a game. So
Yeah,
and then I don't mind it's more gamey.
Yeah, we have this conversation a lot on the podcast. It's like I don't always need everything to be super realistic. I don't even need everything to be first person. I'm happy with top-down strategy
No,
games.
we want board games.
Yeah,
We've been crying for over a year. Please,
Yeah.
somebody give us good board games.
Yeah, but it's funny. I always hear people mix up After the Fall and Until You Fall because of the similarity of names. But that one's a good workout game too. Unintentionally, you'll be sitting there swinging swords, having fun, and the next thing you know, you're ripping sweat down.
You destroy me in After the Fall. So
Until You Fall. No, yeah,
Until You
that's it.
Fall. Sorry.
See, there we go.
Yep.
Happens all
I
the
did
time.
I did joke around a lot with Shell Games about so when are we doing the Until You Fall After Fall crossover event?
Yeah. I think that would
It's
be a
like
fun April Fool's one.
yeah, Until You Fall, and then there's After Fall. It's like, but what is the fall? What happens there?
Yep.
It's like we
Yep.
should talk about that.
At some point, zombies
what's the
come.
war of the fall? Yeah.
At some point, you're gonna fall. You know.
That would be a freaking awesome cross promo. Could even bundle it in the store together.
Yeah.
That's awesome. So
Shell, call me.
We'll work this out. That'd be kind of fun though.
No, yeah, absolutely. So you've been involved in VR for quite some time. Has seeing the release of the Quest and how much that's really blown up the popularity of VR, has that surprised you, or did you kind of have a gut feeling it was going to be like this?
When I started at Vertigo, I was not really into VR at all. So this was my first real big foray into the VR niche of the game industry. And the first time I put on the Quest, like the Quest had just come out, as like this is gonna, like I said before, this was a game changer, and it had potential, but it was just not powerful enough. I felt that the VR elitists, they all talk about having the grand, the powerful PCs and everything has to be top notch. It's like, and I'm certain you guys have seen that over the years as well. It's like the real VR enthusiasts, they have the big rigs and everything, but I also hear a lot of stories. Like a lot of them is like, I spend a lot of time on the Quest right now because it's untethered, and that's just like that click, of like, I'm not wired anymore. That's also why I do like PC VR gaming through a virtual desktop, right, for the untethered experience. And I think that was actually a lot of Afterfall players who start on Quest in the community. They bought a PC just so they could play with better graphics, because like the gameplay, they mastered the gameplay, and now they just want to play it with like really good graphics too. So a whole bunch of them, they jumped into actually they bit the bullet and bought a PC to play Afterfall on, and they have no regrets and they enjoy it. It's like I said before, it's a gateway to VR, and it all depends on what you do with it. I'm totally not surprised at all with how it's blown up, especially with the price point the Quest 2 is at, and the shortage of any other consoles that you could get over the holidays. I'm really not surprised because of how the market was in the past year. So it's for us, for VR, it's fantastic. I know a lot of people have certain opinions about you have to have a Facebook account in order to use it. I don't want to get in my data, but what it does for the industry, you can't deny that. It's what it's doing for VR. It's done more for VR than than PlayStation or the other PC VR headsets have done in the past years.
Oh yeah, unarguably. I hate the whole they steal
Elitist.
my information. It's like, did you say that on an Apple iPhone or something? Because I'm quite sure you probably gave up some restrictive
Yeah.
for everything. Everything you
Mm-hmm.
ever do, if you read the fine print, has scary shit in there. So
You make a Sony account or a Microsoft account to use those consoles online,
yeah,
and
so
I'm
it's like
sure
I
that
don't.
they're not just throwing away data either.
It's
Just
so
saying.
minor.
I get it's not a social media account, so I get the difference.
It's like
Yeah.
especially if you already have a Facebook.
But if the
account.
I was
concern's
happier
data,
when it was still an Oculus account and
Yeah.
you didn't need to link Facebook to it. But it's like, my data is out there already anyway.
Yeah.
I've been on the internet since the early 2000s. There's no way I have anything hidden out there. My darkest secrets are out there for sure. I'm not too worried about that anymore. I've accepted my fate. It's like, if
That's exactly what I'm saying. It's like
know
the big picture. It's not just one company doing something here. And I don't even know if what they're doing is
I'm all
wrong or
for
whatever.
the
But
safety of like newer users, is like the kids that go on the internet nowadays. Yeah, you want to safeguard them and you want to make sure that their safety and their security comes first. But for old people like me, it's like it's too late, man. It's like everything's out there already.
No,
Nope, I agree.
You're right.
I can't argue
Absolutely.
that.
And we were always passive lookers of VR. We had always, wanted to get VR, but we didn't have the high,
Too expensive.
we didn't have the high end gaming rigs. So when the Quest dropped, obviously we hopped on, and I was blown away. I loved it. I'm hooked. Geez, we have a podcast about Quest gaming now. Look at that. But I remember when I first got involved and started, reading, the Reddit communities and the online communities, there was definitely a lot of elitism from the older school PC VR crowd that was like, this is a mobile processor, which in the end it is. But, there's not going to be anything more than, phone apps on there, crappy games. There was a lot of hate for it. And over time, you see it on the Steam, charts of how many people are using which headset. It's just dominated. It's mostly Quest 2 now. And the narrative online has slowly changed to the point that now it's exactly what you said. You asked the same question 2 years ago today, and the reception is from the same people who were, anti-Quest. They're like, yeah, I caved. My controller broke on my other one, and I just bought a
Can't
Quest.
travel with it. Can't travel with a big old computer. And
now I'm wireless, and there's no going back. So
yeah.
I the Quest 2, exactly what you said. It's moving the industry forward.
Well, and also oh, go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah, I was just thinking, it's like with also with how fast mobile internet is going to be as well. I feel like I think there was something for it already, but I think cloud gaming is going to do a lot too. Then it won't matter if you have a Quest or a PC, as long as you have a high resolution VR headset. It's the lag, right? But as that improves, I think cloud gaming is going to do a lot for gaming, for VR gaming as well. It's already doing a lot for console gaming. I think that's the next step waiting to happen for VR.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
I tried the cloud gaming as soon as it showed up in my Microsoft for the Xbox, and I'm not using the latest greatest Xbox here. I'm down one generation of it. But when they dropped the newest Microsoft Flight, I was like, well, technically, I'm not supposed to be able to play this. And I was like, holy crap, it freaking works. I'm not getting lag. I'm like, I don't even download games anymore if I see the little cloud symbol. So I had wondered if VR could potentially go in that direction, because it seems to actually work.
Wait till people's internet are getting higher and higher speed. 10 years ago, people had, maybe, more than 10 years ago now. Fuck.
Dial
like
up.
15. Yeah, I was gonna say, yeah. I think people have had gotten rid of dial up more than 10 years ago at this point. But nonetheless, in 10 years, fiber is going to be the normal. People are going to be pumping out gig a second. Any latency issues that you see with,
not to mention the progression of the technology of the headsets is going to move as well. So it's like
new processors. So it's
the marriage is going to
better
be
receivers.
Yep.
Yeah, it's going to be a fun time.
I've been getting ads on Instagram for new TVs that have the GeForce Now app installed on the OS of the TV, so you can just connect a controller to your TV and do some cloud gaming. Just like they were showing off Cyberpunk on 4K graphics. It's like that's going on a TV. It's like you need a good internet connection, sure, but it's like you're playing Cyberpunk on just a TV.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah,
it works. I'm saying that technology it's viable.
There's a service. I know it gets some love hate, but there's Shadow PC, which is a cloud PC, and I've used Shadow PC. Shadow PC works damn good.
It holds its own.
Yeah, for what it is, you can play. You might not be able to play max resolution newest VR titles, but you can have some fun on there.
Does your current PC?
No, and this one. So it's like, yeah, I'm with you. Cloud gaming is going to be big, and I remember back in the day, Steam did the Steam Box, which Valve always seems to release hardware that's a little bit ahead of its time. I think like if the Steam Box came out today, it would be huge. Yeah, I've always wanted Oculus to drop a little Oculus box or something like that. That way you could connect to it with your Quest, and it's pretty much a little bit cheaper than a gaming PC. It would have to be in order to be worth it, but that you would be able to do some sort of PC VR quality gaming connected to it.
Well, if cloud gaming really takes off, which it should, it just my mind exploded with like, okay, it definitely can go that direction. So
we're just waiting for companies to invest in it, right? And take technology has to crawl first before it can run.
Yeah, well,
when people also want to see the proven results of stuff, and it takes companies like Vertigo to go, and that was one of the game changers I think with Quest, is when games were coming out that were all over the Reddit community, that this game will never come out for Quest. It can't be
Like
done.
Blade and Sorcery.
Yep. And then the developer was like, "Oh, really?
Mhm.
Watch this."
Yep.
And then drops, what they said, nope, can't be done, from people who aren't developers, of course, but and then it happened. So, I mean, what's your argument become at that point when all these reasons why it can't be done are now being done? So
I think
it's
you
so
need to be
exciting as a time.
really. I think you just need to be really clear and transparent on what your limitations are, what you're giving up on to make sure that it works. Um, like throwing it out there, the developers out there, ourselves included, like we know we have to take, we have to reel it in a little bit here, but like especially for VR, performance is so important. So all of the developers out there who are making ports from PC titles or PlayStation titles and bringing it over to Quest, it's like we're gonna do our best to make it look as good as possible, but performance will be key. It will be the most important thing because we don't want you puking because our game is running at 40 FPS in each lens. That is the most important thing for all the VR developers out there, just to have a stable frame rate, and we will do whatever it takes to get that frame rate. And if you're if you have the raging boners for graphics, then save up a bit longer, I guess, and get a PC. But
No,
No,
gameplay
I
wise, if
think
you want
that
to play
whole
good games, yeah,
it,
we
it,
can we can make that happen.
it seems like developers are getting, you said raging boners for graphics. That sums it up very good. It seems like developers are getting better and better at utilizing the Quest hardware as well.
oh, they're maxing it out.
I don't want to say tips and tricks because it's not like that, but it definitely seems like the quality of games pushed out today is much higher than when the Quest 2 first came out. I think it's just developers getting more and more familiar with the hardware. So I'm fully expecting,
Mhm.
even with the same hardware, I think the games are only going to get better and better without even the hardware improving. It's just
Definitely.
they're learning.
I mean, you give a group of people enough time with just whatever, it's going to continue to improve. I mean, it's just the way it is. But I mean,
Yeah, and the game
most
engines
companies,
nowadays, they do amazing things too. Like Unity and Unreal, they've come so far, and they make it so much easier for developers to really optimize for different platforms, and like for After Fall to really have that core framework and optimize graphically individually for the other platforms. It's how it took us a lot of research, but like with the engines being what they are now, it allows for so much. It's like my favorite example is Genshin Impact. I played it on the PC, I played it on the PlayStation, I played it on my phone, and it pretty much looks the same. It pretty much looks the same uh, everywhere. Of course, mobile will have like lower frame rate, but it's still the same game, and it's also this. It's really the art direction as well. If you're smart about your art direction, then the Quest can have really good graphics. Like a lot of my favorite titles on the Quest, like I had a lot of fun with Job Simulator and um,
Just silly,
and
fun
traffic
games
jams
like
as
that.
well.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like, yeah, sure. If you really want realistic stuff, then save a bit longer. Get that PC, sure. But there's just so much good stuff out there with good art direction. You don't need realistic graphics for everything.
Man, I say that all the time, and
yeah,
it's
pretty
true.
repetitively,
Yeah,
but
I
it is
say
true.
I because I love these playful, like Little Cities. It's got these playful animated graphics. Uh, I think whatever preconceived notions you have about I like this genre, I like this style of game, on flat screen, throw it out in VR,
Oh,
because
definitely.
the genres that I've liked in VR and the experiences that I've loved and the artwork style that I've loved is different in VR. I love that Loco Dojo style where it's just silly. I
Hmm.
think VR is the perfect medium for, lobster hands and just like silly
Yeah.
artwork. I know Fall Guys is a popular console game, but
Hmm.
for the most part, that type of graphics doesn't really transcend to high popularity in console gaming. Whereas, you reference Job Simulator, it's just a silly fucking game, and it's hilarious in VR. I don't know if it would work the same in flat screen, but in VR,
No,
it's
I'm
the
actually
best thing.
seeing more games in flat screen right now that I'm like, why is this not a VR game? Makes no sense as to why this is actually a console game. It looks like it was, and even graphically, it looks like it was designed for VR. So I don't know on like the
Mhm.
console gaming side if developers have actually like designed some to. There's a house fixing one, and I'm like, this is 100% VR game on a desktop.
I
I'm
always
like, I'll
saw
still get it.
that um, game development, game in for consoles and PC. You can push the technology as far as you can to make it look as good as possible, right? But ultimately, you're still just looking at a flat screen. It's
Yeah.
like Unreal 8 is gonna do some crazy amazing uh stuff, but ultimately if it's still going on just a bigger screen, it's like sure the screens are getting bigger, more pixels, but not everyone's gonna have like a 100-foot screen in a living room, right? um I always felt that the next step in graphics would just be immersion, right? So in that point I do believe that getting the player immersed in that world either through VR or augmented reality, that will be what will take gaming to the next level graphically. And that's not to take away the technology for console games, because that's the start for us, for VR developers. Like, again, like I mentioned before, they're crawling so we can run.
So something we always love to ask. It's actually something that Stratus usually asks, so I'll steal a question from him. I think it's a great question for somebody like you who has a great story where you started as a content creator, then you're working in the press, and now you're a community manager for one of the top VR studios. That's a hell of a story right there. So
Mhm.
something we always love to ask is what advice would you have for anybody young who's looking to get into the VR industry
Or old.
or old?
You could
That's
be
a good
old,
point.
man.
I shouldn't discriminate.
Well, it's like I've been saying like the whole evening right now. It's like ultimately all the game development that's happening. It also will get to VR as well, and all the skills you learn there are transferable to VR. It's like, yes, VR has a very certain focus, a certain approach, knowledge about the players and everything, but ultimately it's all the game industry. And I feel that as long as you get good at something within that works for you, whether marketing, development, your even sales and finance, things like that. Those are all skills that the VR industry also needs. So as long as you can show yourself, hey, I'm a reliable and competent worker for you, then by all means, apply, because the VR developments, because the VR studios and publishers, they're all growing so hard right now, and they need the people. And if you already have experience in the game industry, great, seniors are great. But if you're young and starting out, and you know you got to start somewhere, and don't worry about not landing your number one job, because at the number one job they're going to have such high expectations for you. It's better to really and learn and get skilled at what you want to do, and the rest will come naturally.
I think that's a perfect answer.
Yeah, I think sometimes people self-limit themselves too, and they go, "Oh, not me. I can't do that
Hmm.
because of this or this or this."
I'm
And
just gonna throw in. You got to have a passion for it though, because every
Yeah.
single person we talk to, they have a genuine passion, and it shows. And I don't think if you bring that to the table in any VR company,
yeah,
you're gonna succeed very well.
it's not something if you're going in there chasing the money and going, "Ooh, I'm getting in here because
Yeah,
yeah,
go
no,
somewhere else.
it's the wrong
Yeah.
industry." But if you got passion, I love that advice. It's just get into it, start.
Hmm.
All the
It's
developers at Vertigo Games, I talk to them a lot all the time, and they didn't start in VR. They all started in just learning game design and becoming good at that, and then they took their knowledge and experience over to VR. And some of them, like, they start at game educations, and then they do their internships at at a VR company, because that happens to be their interest or something. That's great too. Get your start anywhere. The VR industry, like I said, is growing. It's going to need people like you who are passionate about just game development. And if your passion is VR, then that's even better. We're looking for you.
No, great answer. Love it. That's awesome. That's
I
awesome.
just can't wait for the future. I'm loving watching the progression here.
Yeah, wait till there's, all of us evolved in VR, adults, we've discovered it as an adult, thinking like 10, 15 years when there's that kid right now who, the same experiences that you played as a kid that made you get involved in gaming on a professional scale. That's what they're playing right now, but it's your games that you're making. So wait till in 10 years when there's that kid applying and he goes, I've always wanted to work at Vertigo ever since I played After the Fall. It's gonna be real trippy, that's for sure. So
anyone out there, if you still have a Quest 1, just give it to your cousin who wants to develop.
Spread the word.
Like, it's enough for them to hook that up to a PC so they can start dabbling into Unity or Unreal or whatever. It's be the gateway for them.
Oh, that's awesome.
That's wicked awesome. Yeah, I love that you got to start. You got to start doing it. It's a repetitive theme we hear.
So definitely appreciate you taking the time with us. I think we could have gone easy 2 hours at the rate we were going. That was a blast. Is there any social media of yours you want to plug before you go? Anywhere that the listeners can follow you on, maybe Twitter or any Discord communities that you're the community manager of?
Oh yeah, well, my personal Twitter where I just talk about just memes and K-pop and game stuff and Final Fantasy and anything gaming related that I love is just twitter.com/TamTu. But if you're an Afterfall player, I highly recommend you join our official Discord on discord.gg/Afterfall. We have a great community there, and just follow Vertigo Games on all our socials. It's Vertigo Games for anything that we've got coming up, and there's a lot of cool stuff coming up, so be sure to follow there.
I'm keeping my ears open. My attitude is if Vertigo put their name on it, I'm playing it. Yep, it's already gold.
So, I can't wait. I can't wait. Hopefully in the future, if when these other soon-to-be titles drop, we'd love to have you back on and maybe promote those a little bit. And regardless, I just can't wait to be playing them. So, hope you enjoy the rest of your day, and check us out next week.